Hello again, Glitch Trooper here. I'm back for another, well, Lycanites combo showcase here. And this one is one that looks particularly cool for a combo, and one that has some pretty nice combat uses. I call this one Tantalus, although you might just call it the, well, electric something. I'm not entirely sure, because it's electrified. But it's interesting. Also, I found out a couple other things about displaying items with Lycanite's equipment. Apparently, it's not just the item displays that Tinkers has. That's the ones you put on walls, like the drying racks or item racks. Apparently, it just doesn't like displaying any equipment from Lycanites in any way. So if you put in a crafting station, it also likes returning missing texture. I also found out that an interesting thing happens whenever you use Lycanite's equipment in a crystal chest. It seems to only display the one that you have first. So if I take this out, yeah, the firstmost slot is the one that it displays. That's kind of a funny discovery. Anyhow, it's time to show off what Tantalus can do rather than just showing it off for its looks. But what its components will include. Didn't mean to grab crystal chest. Sorry, wrong button. Ahem. This particular weapon uses an interesting selection of parts. You'll need the base being a Wendigo antler. So first time I've shown off using that. Wendigo antlers provide an attack that unleashes slowness on the target. It also adds both a head and a pommel slot, which is rather important. Wendigos show up in cold environments, especially around big puddles of ooze, which will show up periodically in your world, and you won't necessarily need to find a cold biome to find them. They'll just randomly show up, kind of like surface lava, and they will spawn various Arctic mobs from Lycanites, and Wendigos will show up as part of that. They're kind of dangerous. They kind of fire charges that make more ooze, at least temporarily. But it can cause a lot of damage in a hurry, so they're a little bit of a dangerous foe. They will drop Wendigo antlers, which is the thing that you need here. Now, another component that you'll be needing is, well, this is one of those times where you gotta go with a pommel. In this case, it's a Pseudoramu stinger. These will show up in desert environments. It adds the additional abilities to harvest as a hoe and shears, and it also can be a little bit similar, but a little bit different from the Wendigo antler. It unleashes slowness on targets, but against players and mobs that are compatible with hunger status, it will also cause hunger. So this is going towards the way that I have this one themed. And causing hunger is part of this, as I'll build up to. And again, Pseudoramus are usually found in desert biomes, so you will be finding a lot of desert creatures in general, and they'll be the one you're after. I'll also use something that I have used more in survival than otherwise, actually, is a Banshee Eye. They kind of like sylphs, like hiding out in structures, mostly underground structures, like mines and also in strongholds, so you'll find them kind of whenever you're going around caving and finding structures. It will provide fear against your targets, and it will also provide a slot for the blade, which is what you'll be needing as well, is a good blade slot. And it will also have a chance of summoning banshees, which themselves can cause fear status. So you might wind up overwhelming your enemy with a small army. And now the last component is a Zephyr blade. Zephyrs are found very high up. You'll find them on the tops of mountains, as well as just whenever you're going up very far up on your flying mounts. So you'll encounter them basically in the sky. They will also show up more heavily in thunderstorms. So whenever it starts storming weather, you will find a lot more Zephyrs. And this will allow you to take them down and get their blades. So look out for the weather, because there might be a few you might actually want to grab during it. And this Zephyr blade is the primary component here in terms of just sheer damage, because it's the blade. The part that goes onto the head usually causes the most damage, so quick note there. This one will cause paralysis to the target, so they'll be kind of stuck in place. And it harvests the sword, so it does a lot of chopping. It gives you a chance to summon Zephyrs, which have a paralytic aura. So, while this will deal it on contact, just getting close to a Zephyr, if it manages to summon one, will affect your target. So I will go ahead and show the actual forging reminder that you start off with, normally speaking, a lesser equipment forge at level 1 that has a crafting table and a wooden axe in the recipe. Then you add an iron block to that to make the greater one, and then the master one is adding a diamond block to the greater one to get the master forge. So you go through a few steps to get these, but again, the master forge is the only one you'll ever really need. I mean, sure, you could start out with level 1 stuff only with lesser, but go for the big one and you will never regret it. Now, in assembling this, remember, you start off with your base part, in this case the Wendigo antler. And then, of course, you can add your pommel and your head part pretty much at the same time, so the Pseudorambus stinger and the Banshee eye. And we'll finish off with the Zephyr blade. And you have a nice copy of Tantalus. The reason why I call this Tantalus is because that exact combo makes it very difficult for an enemy to keep up in combat against you. So Tantalus is a pretty cool combo. And it's heavily combat focused. So yeah, I have forged a new Tantalus, although we have plenty of them showing off in various ways, as before. Again, please say what your favorite is to display it, although, again, my personal one is the Evil Craft display stand. Shows them off the best, in my opinion. Now, I will be going into combat against a behemoth rather soon, actually. So, special note, this does not have any right-click function. It's not that kind of weapon tool. So, that's not going to really factor in. Additionally, remember that when it comes down to it, they have unlimited durability, so you can keep on using them. And a desert's a pretty good way to display some of its functions, because as I said before, it acts as a sword, and that's very good at chopping cactus. So, yeah, I'm about to go into, well, I'm going to copy this off at least a time, so I have one for later. And I will be going up against a behemoth. Okay, so let's take down this behemoth. Okay. Yeah, I have a shield. I get close enough to... Oh, my guard was down. Now he's running away from me. Because he's afraid he has fear status. Yep. Finish him off. There we go. I forgot that they drop wither skeleton skulls. Seriously? Oh well. Munch. But yeah, that makes fighting them a bit interesting, although I just walked into the flames the whole time. I would normally do that, but I have a ton of health. But yes, as I was showing off, it chops very quickly, anything of which you'd expect a sword to do. Also, anything that shears would normally harvest fast, it will harvest fast, although in this case it will not have the additional... Oh yeah, I have decay. That reminds me, decay prevents anything from actually regenerating, so... which means I won't be able to actually recover until that wears off. Okay, go off there, and then I'll get myself another golden apple. Still wondering how that randomly dropped that. Because I wasn't using a slash blade at the time. Okay, anyhow, onwards. But yes, anything of which would be harvest quickly, in those regards, are harvest fast. So, you can chop anything that you expect shears to pretty much instantly. So, usually good for harvesting crops, although you can see how it is useful in combat, although, admittedly, I was not doing the best run. And, quick reminder, when it comes down to it, right-click function does not work for anything related to hoeing, even though the pseudorambler stinger says it works as a hoe. So that's still work in progress. So later on, you will probably see that replaced by actually working as a hoe. So it'll get there. So yeah, well, I mean, while I'm here, I might as well plant a couple of nice, lovable carrots. So yeah, if I find any other foes, this will do some chopping. But yeah, you can use this to keep enemies scared of you while they're running away. And if they're vulnerable to paralysis, they'll be stuck in place. And otherwise, they'll be slowed down, so their escape will be very slow motion. And another target. I'd love to take you around for a bit of a few whacks. He's running away slowly. Joust meat. Tasty. But yeah, any more jousts that I can chop? My sword would love to demonstrate. Yes, it's very lively. Although I'm surprised it didn't quite get paralyzed. I'm wondering if that status is not working currently the way it normally does, because I know in older versions it basically nailed something in place pretty well where they just could not move. So it can be a pretty nasty status when it works. So just know that for the future, if that's not working now, that it will be. Because there's no way he's letting paralysis not be a thing. It's just the way it is. I'm not seeing any other jousts around here, so I'm thinking that that's probably it for showing this one off. So I've been Glitch Reaper. I'll hope to hear from you all later. So bye for now, everybody.